What's going on, everybody? I am the Nickel City Nightmare, Derek Joz. Welcome to the long-awaited episode 3 of the Joz of LIfe. Alright guys, here we go. I'm going to dive right into my first topic. Topic number 1 today is parenting. Okay. This past Saturday night, me and my girlfriend went to a Buffalo Bandits game. For those of you not from the Buffalo area, that is our national indoor lacrosse team. They're always a good time. They play music through the play. So, like, you know, the downfall of a hockey game is when you're there, you know, you literally just hear the shaving of the ice and the slapping of the puck and the occasional shout from the bench or something. At a National Lacrosse League game, they play music through the play. It's more of a party atmosphere. It's a good time. They're a lot of fun. I've been to a few of these now. And they're always a great time. My issue from this past weekend's game was, now we were sitting up in the 300 levels, up in the nosebleeds, and a row behind us, there were these children, and it was a big group of them, probably like 8 or 9 kids, and I believe they had like 2, maybe 3 parents around with them, and they were a little obnoxious and whatever. They're kids. They're, you know, somewhere between 10 and 13, 14, I'd say. And they're, you know, they're hooting, they're hollering, they're yelling, they're having a good time, which is what you expect of a kid in an atmosphere like this, where they're, you know, they're playing music and it's geared toward a family atmosphere and stuff. And at one point during this game, and by point during the game, I mean like play was stopped, the cheerleaders weren't on the turf, there was literally nothing happening. This girl that's with this group just lets out this ear-piercing shriek that is literally just one of those noises that makes you want to like throw something. Very specifically, the thing making that noise from the nearest balcony, which for me was literally right here. So you can imagine that during the duration of this game, when, you know, people were hooting, hollering, whatever, and this girl at dead points would just shrill out loud like this, how much of a headache it became to be sitting near these people. And you would think that at some point the parental guardians with these people would look at this little jerk and say, hey, we understand having fun, we understand having a good time, but like to let out that kind of scream when there's nothing happening, like, you're just obnoxious. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, this was too much to ask. Not only did they not say anything, they antagonized her. They, like, egged her on to do more. And by the time we were done, everybody in our section was like, I fucking this child. Like, shut up or I'm going to murder you. And that's what kind of stems me into this whole ordeal. That, like, when I was growing up, my parents would have absolutely just smacked me right upside the head the first time I did it. Okay, maybe not the first time. The first time I did it, I've been like, cut it out. Don't do that. Like, there are other people here trying to enjoy the game. The second time, I'd have gotten popped in the back of the head. Cut it out. And if I did it again, one of my parents would have missed the rest of the game to take me to the car to wait until the game was over. Because that's what parenting was. There were consequences for your actions. You did something that was not, that went against the social norm. That went against the rules of what's okay to do in public. And you got yelled at. You got scolded. Back in the day, heaven forbid, you got the magical S word, you got spanked. You know, these days, that word doesn't exist. And I'm sorry, you're not going to tell me that a timeout has the same effect. Oh, I'm going to go stand in the corner and be bored for 5 minutes. You know, and I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that these days parents don't have to parent much. And I say that because nowadays you literally just hand a kid a cell phone, hand the kid a tablet, hand the kid a handheld gaming console, and they shut their mouth and they go away and they're not bothering you anymore. But then they get, like, no social skills. They have no idea how to act around anybody or in public or anything. And then on top of it, you're going to antagonize them to continue their behavior that's causing a problem around you. I don't get it. I don't understand when it became so hard to tell a kid no, to tell a kid that they're wrong, to tell a kid that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Like, why is this such a problem? Why is this such a thing these days? And I'm going to go way off topic here. Not way off topic, but this is the type of shit that led to the participation trophy era, which is what we're living in. The kids who were the first of the group to receive participation trophies throughout their youth are now having kids and raising kids. These people who have this awkward sense of accomplishment for nothing. Like, you get the same trophy the team that won the whole championship gets. These people are now raising kids to expect that I'm just awesome because I woke up today. You know what? You are awesome, and you did wake up today. But you don't get a trophy for it. You don't get rewarded for getting out of bed. You know what? Like, you know what reward for showing up is? A paycheck from a job that really doesn't care what you do while you're there, as long as you're a living, breathing being. There's no such thing as, like, you don't get to go to school and say, well, I showed up today, so I should get an A. But that's where we're going these days. Back in my day, you know, if my grades sucked, my parents looked at me and said, what the hell's the matter with you? They would take that piece of paper and go, what the hell is this? And then I got grounded, and then I had to study it more, and then I couldn't go play with my friends. I couldn't go play hockey out in the yard. Like, I couldn't do anything. Nowadays, you end up having your parent with said piece of paper walking with little Johnny next to him up to the teacher and going, what the hell is this? Because how dare you give little Johnny a bad grade? It doesn't matter that little Johnny hasn't done shit as far as homework, hasn't studied at all, and just wung it on his test and had no clue what he was talking about, and he deserved that D. No, it's got to be the teacher's fault, because that's the society we're living in. I'm not going to parent my kid, and my kid's shortcomings aren't my fault, because all I've done is tell my kid how fantastically awesome he is, because he woke up and got out of bed that day. And every time he wants something, he gets it. And anytime, you know, she asks for something or demands something, they get it. I mean, you see it in sports, you see it in school, you see it literally everywhere. You know, you get like the one time that mom and dad can't afford to buy little Jimmy or little Jane that toy, and they throw an absolute temper tantrum in a store because I want it, I need it, and I want it now. And how dare you tell me no, because I'm this awesome superstar of a human being and I deserve everything I ever want for no reason. Where did this come from? How did we get here? How did we get to a point where parents don't parent and kids run the house? I mean, and I've seen it from being a coach. I've seen it where, you know, a kid will look at their parent and, like, demand something of them. And the parent's like, okay, fine. Like, they've been beaten to submission by this child. I see kids daily that, and this isn't from my coaching experience, but I have seen it while coaching, but I see it, like, just out in public. Walk through Walmart, walk through the mall, and you'll see a kid speaking to their parent in a way that I'm like, I'd have gotten my ass whooped. Someone in my family, a parent, a grandparent, a babysitter, somebody would have opened up a can of whoop ass on me for talking like that in public to any adult, let alone my family. And that's the thing too. You go walking through the mall, you go walking through the store, and you just see hordes of 7, 8, and 9-year-olds just running around, running amok. Amok. And just, like, running into people and, like, causing issues. And then when they run into somebody and the person looks at them and they're like, excuse you? Like, you're in their space and how dare you be alive that day? Like, we need to fix this issue. And I'm not even going to go into the realm of how far this goes through society of young adults, 20, 21-year-olds, who think that they just deserve the world for nothing. That think they can just go ass backwards through life. And, you know, I mean, we see it with kids who, you know, they graduate from, from college. And they walk out in the world and go, Where's my $75,000 a year job? I don't want to work at McDonald's. I don't want to work at Tops. I don't want to, work at some entry level job in the workforce to build a resume. I just, because I have my degree, because I have this fancy piece of paper that says I did stuff in college, I deserve to make all the money in the world that I could possibly ever want to make. And that's just not how the real world works. But these kids have never been told that. They've never been told that you have to work for things. If you look at your young 22, 23-year-olds that end up in good paying jobs, and I'm speaking from experience because I'm very, very, very close with somebody who was like this. They worked entry level jobs. They worked at a restaurant. They worked as a hostess somewhere. And then they worked for a spa. And they got noticed by somebody or got recommended by somebody and essentially became the GM of a company because of their hard work. Not because they graduated college and said, I'm here, world, hand me everything. All right? I mean, I went from being an 18-year-old who was feeding pitching machines for an indoor league one day a week to being the main employee other than the facility manager at the building I worked at for the baseball place, to being the facility manager over the course of 6 years, 5 years, something like that. But it took a lot of time and a lot of hours. It took getting muddy, bloody out in 45 minutes away from where I live, doing grounds crew and stuff, and working 4 and 5 days a week. And then when I was in school, when I was at Fredonia, driving home on weekends to work Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and literally 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. or later on Sundays. There were some Sundays I worked 7:30 to midnight, 1 o'clock. Now, granted, the last 2 hours were my team that I play on, practicing at the time, but still, those are long ass days, and those are the things that, once I was done with school, is what got me to the position I was in. I didn't just apply for the job and say, okay, I'm going to run the show now. You're not just going to pay me $7.50, $10 an hour, or whatever it was at the time. You're going to pay me, $40,000 a year as a 22-year-old who just got done with school, or when I started working for him, was just in college as a freshman. But that's something that's lost because of the way that parenting is done. You bargain with your child. You rationalize with a 10-year-old. You're in basically hostage negotiations with your child at a young age, and they get what they want instead of just being flat out told no sometimes, or being punished when they act out, and then they act like that in society. They act like that for other people. Excuse me. They just, because they don't know better. And knowing better starts at home. It's not on teachers. It's not on coaches. It's not on anybody but the parents to guide that kid in that realm. Your kid's not playing enough on a sports team? Don't motherfuck the coach. Ask your kid what they're doing in practice. Ask your kid how they're doing. Are they a team player? Are they doing what the coach asks? Are they being caught screwing around 4 or 5 times a day? Because I'll bet you that may be impacting their playing time. Especially when you're talking junior high and up. All right? When your kids' grades are failing, don't blame the teacher. Ask them if they're studying. Ask them if they're trying. And if they are, and they actually factually are, then you sit down with the teacher and say, how can we fix this? What can we do to make this better? Don't blame the teacher. It's the same realm in society where people think that they just, if you don't have to do what your parents tell you to do, why are you going to listen to a teacher or a coach or, God forbid, a cop or anybody else of authority? We need to fix this. We need to fix the parenting. We need to stop relying on technology. Stop throwing your phone or a tablet at a kid to shut them up. Make them do things. Make them go outside, goddammit. Make sure that they're home by the time the streetlights come on, or else. The way it used to be. The way that raised generations of people who had social decorum. All right, and I went a little bit longer here than I planned to on this one. So you're probably only going to get 2 segments out of me today. But next one's planned to be pretty good too, so stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm just gonna piggyback off right where I left off with throwing tablets and cell phones at kids to shut them up and you know get them to just be quiet so you can finish watching your soap opera or whatever. And I'm gonna stem that into being an adult with technology. All right, and having friends because the thing that we don't realize is social media, smartphones, and technology have made it harder and harder and harder for people to be sketchy when it comes to being a friend. Okay, um, back in the day when cell phones first became a thing. Okay, we're gonna go way back to even before cell phones. You had to pick up El Telefono, either dial the number like this on, there were buttons that you had to push, or the rotary phone style, which I always thought was really cool. And phone would ring and be like, "Hey, is Joey there?" And then whoever's parent or sibling, or if it was Joey, would figure out who, you know, where they are and put them on the phone. Or you'd get like, "Oh, he can't talk right now. He's busy, or he's grounded, or he's doing homework, or something." And then it'd be like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Like, then you get on your little bike and pedal your ass down to your buddy's house, and you'd hang out, or you wouldn't. And if you asked them about doing something, pardon me, if you asked them about doing something, and they couldn't do it or they didn't want to, they had to like lie to your face. "Oh, hey man, sorry, I got this thing going on." But there really was, aside from like riding your bike past their house to see what was up, there was no real checks or balances there. You just had to take them at their word that they were busy that day or they had gotten grounded. Nowadays, okay, well, sorry, I'm gonna stop trying to jump to nowadays. I'm gonna work up the timeline here. So follow me, stay with me on my journey, the journey down the road of time here. Then the advent of cell phones, which meant I could call you and I didn't have to worry about like your mom or your sister picking up the phone, which like, back in the day, like if you had a hot sister, that kind of upset me because maybe I want to talk to your hot sister for a second. But yeah, listen, cut it out with people's sisters. They're your friends. You don't mess with your friend's family. Little side note from the nightmare there. Like, so you call and, the phone rings in the person's pocket. And then they, like, I'll pick it up or they ignore it. But again, very little checks and balances there. Like, there was really no way to, like, verify, like, if you went to their voicemail, like, were they busy? Did they see it and not want to talk to you? And then came the invent of the deny the phone call. Instead of just letting it ring and going from there, you could actually push a button that told people, like, "I don't want to talk to you." It didn't say that, though. The only way we figured out that was a thing was if it rang once or just went to voicemail, the phone was probably dead. If it rang 3 times and went to voicemail, yo ass got ignored. And if it rang through 5, 6, 7 times, whatever it is, and went to voicemail, they just didn't get the call. And that was the first step of technology snitching on us. And then text messaging became a thing. So now we didn't have to speak to you. We could just pull out El Telefono and, "Hey man, what's going on? Want to hang out? Want to play hockey? Want to play Madden?" Send. And then came the invent of, "Hey man, why don't you text me back last night?" "Oh, sorry bro, I didn't get your text." Which was a very, very viable excuse back then. Because the networks just aren't, they just weren't what they are now. They just weren't. It was a new technology. They were still getting the bugs out, and somewhere over the Western Pacific is a gigantic cloud of texts that never got received. And maybe that's what's causing global warming. I don't know, but you'd basically just like, and you would see it like there were times like you would try to text somebody. Like, when people started like, "Oh, we're all in a big group of like 10 people, and me and my buddy are going to talk shit about that dude." I'm going to pull my phone out, text him, and I'm waiting. And like, that person walks away like, "Hey man, did you get my text?" Like, "No, I didn't get it." And you literally like were 10 feet away and the dude didn't get your text. So it's a thing that actually happened. So that was an excuse. And then came social media on our phones. Because social media started as an internet thing on your computer machine. Ye old box in front of me right now that I'm shooting this on. And then somebody said, "You know what? We got these little handy dandy pocket computers. Let's make like stuff to make it easier to put on there." And then those things started snitching on you. Facebook saying, "Oh, last online 20 minutes ago." Twitter tweeted, the Nickel City Nightmare tweeted this an hour ago. which, Twitter is a little vague. It's like an hour. It doesn't deal like for the first hour, it's minutes, and then it's hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. And, you could say like, oh, like he tweeted that an hour ago and I texted him, around an hour ago. But like, it would really like all of a sudden you look and like 5 minutes later it's like tweeted that 2 hours ago. Like, oh, so it was like the long way of an hour ago, whatever. And then like Snapchat came along and all of a sudden you send somebody something and you can see exactly when they opened it. Like, because it comes, for those of you who aren't Snapchat aficionados, you basically send it to somebody and it says, sent at 2:06 p.m. And then whenever they open it, it shows that it was opened and it says opened at 2:09 p.m. And then you're like, well, they opened that an hour ago. And couldn't even get a reply from them. That sucks. And like, if you're really trying to make plans via Snapchat, like, I could see somebody like taking a picture at a bar and putting it on their story and being like, oh, come to the bar. But like, if you're trying to make plans with an individual person, just fucking text them, you dumbass. But like, you're going to sit there and say like, oh, well, I sent you my daily morning poop picture, like, of my pants around my ankles, and I couldn't even get a reply. Like, you're a dick. Thanks, asshole. Or like, hey, I saw this little, I took a Snapchat of ye old punch buggy, and you couldn't even call me a dick. Come on, the fuck. But my point here is the networks have gotten better. Technology has begun to outsmart us regularly. So we can really no longer, I mean, even Instagram tells you how long ago somebody was active on the application. And that one's on a phone. Like, you can go to Instagram on a computer, but it's not the same. You can't do, like, I'm pretty sure you can only, like, scroll through pictures and stuff on Instagram. You can't actually, like, post anything or comment on anything, or I'm not even sure if you can log in or anything, because it's pretty much like a phone application. So, like, you make plans with somebody, and I've seen this a million times. You talk on Saturday. Hey, what do you got going on this week? I want to hang out and chill. And they look at you and say, well, I'm working tomorrow. I got this going on Monday, working Tuesday, like I'm free on Wednesday. And they're like, oh, well, let's hang out on Wednesday. Let's go to this underwater basket weaving class. And you say, okay, cool, let's do the stuff. Then you talk about it on Sunday, a little bit here and there. You talk about it on Monday, a little bit here and there. On Tuesday, like, you're both busy with work and stuff, so you don't do the communicado. And then Wednesday rolls around. And like 10 a.m., you're like, hey man, what's up? We still basket weaving, underwater later? Like, what time you want to meet up? 3 o'clock rolls around. Hey man, just making sure we're still good for tonight. Let me know what's up. And you were supposed to hang out at 6 o'clock. 8 o'clock rolls around, and you may get the semi-obligatory, bro, my bad, X, Y, and Z happened. I got stuck at work. I fell asleep. I stubbed my toe and had to blow dry my hair. Whatever. Okay? Or you could just not hear from them at all. And the next day you're like, what the fuck, mate? What happened yesterday? And you still get people who try the, like, oh, sorry, dude, I didn't get your text. One of my personal favorites, which guilty as using, because it does happen sometimes, but not nearly as often as, like, it seems to be claimed. Oh, hey, I saw your message. I typed a reply and must have forgotten to hit send. Or, oh, hey, like, I've been super busy and, like, didn't get your thing. Really? Because, like, I sent you a text at 10 a.m. and it told me you were on Facebook at 3, and I texted you around 3. And then I Facebook messaged you, which means, like, I saw that you were online, and you posted a status at 6, which means you saw the message. You just may not have opened it, so it didn't tell me that you read it or whatever. Like, stop lying to me, man. Like, if something came up and you didn't want to hang, just fucking tell me you didn't want to hang. Tell me something came up. I mean, social media and technology has made it really, really hard to be a bad friend. Like, and the sad part is, it's not that it's made it hard to be a bad friend, but it also, it snitches on you. It tells on you. Like, it literally broadcasts that you're a bad friend, or that you're just being a piece of shit that day. Maybe you're not a bad friend, okay? And, saying you're a bad friend. Like I'm not trying to call everybody out for being shitty friends because these are all things that we've all done. Every single person has like gotten to the day of where they had plans, just didn't feel like doing it, and didn't want to like disappoint the person by saying like, "Hey, listen, I'm just not feeling it tonight." So something came up, I got stuck at work, or whatever. But you're just, it's not that you're a bad friend. It's just you're being a piece of shit that day. And social media and technology has made it really, really hard to lie about being a bad friend or being a piece of shit that day, however you want to see it. And really, I think we need to be more honest with people. Like, don't make plans that you don't intend to keep. Like, if you can't be there, like, there are times that, like, people ask me, like, oh, what are you doing this day? And because of the way my lifestyle is and the way my life is, I can honestly tell you I don't know, because I probably don't. And I will sometimes just straight up forget you even ask me to do something. And there are other times, like, I feel like there's something I have to do that day that I can't think of at the time. Oftentimes I'm really tired and don't think straight. So, like, it's really just one of those things that we just need to be better about being honest with people. Hey, man, what do you got going on Saturday? Like, you going to be here? Like, no, I can't, man. I got 3-on-3 floor hockey tournament that day. I don't know. Like, I try to pull obscure things because I don't want anybody to misconstrue that I'm calling them out for something. Because if I'm going to call you out, I'm just going to say your name and say this, you suck, I'm calling you out. Because that's my style. So, long story short, or almost 12-minute story summarized here. When you're making plans with friends, like, take your friends into consideration. I mean, there are people who plan lives, or there are other people who make plans, and say I talked to my buddy and was like, yo, dude, let's go hit some baseballs, because that's a thing that I do. And he's like, yeah, man, that's awesome. And then my girlfriend makes plans with a girlfriend of hers to have a little girls' night that same night. And all of a sudden, they have plans, they're doing the stuff, and all of a sudden, like, my friend just never gets back to me, or doesn't say anything to me, or bails on me last minute and says, like, my rollerblades need sharpening. I don't know, I'm pulling at straws here for excuses. Like, and now I'm sitting there and like, okay, well, they planned on dinner, so we didn't eat, so now I got to figure out what I'm going to eat, and I got to figure out what I'm doing with my life, because now, my girlfriend's going out, and I don't really want to sit at home doing nothing, but I really don't have anything to do right now, so I reach out to 2 or 3 other people who already have plans, and now I'm just kind of sitting at home doing nothing. And, then maybe she feels bad, so she comes home early, or cuts her night short, or they end up inviting me to tag along, and now it's not just a girls' night, it's a girls plus me night, and now I'm a third wheel to, a mani-pedi chick flick fest. It's like, all right, man, so not only did you screw me, but you kind of ruined their night too. Okay, and again, I'm not calling any of my friends out. I'm not saying, like, this happened recently to me or anything. Like, this is just a thought process going through the brain piece. So calm your tits. But, I don't know, I think we just need to be better about taking other people into consideration. And it's just not being so selfish anymore. All right, guys, so there you have it. That was episode 3 of the Joz of LIfe. Got some exciting things coming up this week. First off, I got got more people subscribing, so click down there to subscribe. I got somebody who's commented on a couple on my first 2 videos, and he asked a question, so I'm going to tell you guys this. Every 4th episode, because I'm trying to do one a week, but like sometimes life happens, so this one got pushed a little further, as the last one did too. So every 4th episode, I'm going to do one segment. I'm going to do a questions and comments section where it's more like fan interactive. So if you have something you want to, like the one comment, a guy asked me a question, and my man, I'm going to answer that question for you. All right, I'm going to lay some stuff out. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about what you asked me. Maybe good advice, maybe shit advice, I don't know. But, take it for what it's worth. And then I'm going to do the Joz of LIfe top 10 list. Okay? It's going to be changing topics, rotating themes, however you want to see it, and we're doing it. So every late night talk show host that's ever done a top 10, you can eat your goddamn heart out because the nightmare's coming for you. All right? Also, and this is the big one, so if you lasted this long, congratulations, you are the first people to hear it via this, and then probably the first people outside of my girlfriend and a few close friends of mine that I've told, and and obviously my family. April 28th, the Main Street Armory, Rochester, New York. The Nightmare steps back in the cage after 2 fights fell apart on me, and I had to postpone a card that I wanted to be on, but I couldn't. April 28th, Main Street Armory. The Nightmare is going for the Full Contact Productions Super Heavyweight Championship. That's right, your boy's hunting some gold. Be there. It's going to be fucking wild. We're doing it, guys. We are going nuts, and I'm going to knock a motherfucker out. Thanks for watching episode 3, guys. Hope you have a great week.